Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar. Today, we'll be showing you our new Equal Opportunities reporting tool, and we'll be talking about how you can use it and leverage your findings from it to promote equal opportunities in your charity and to drive your recruitment strategy. So my name is Lucy and I work at CharityJob as a senior research manager. So we do a mix of social and user research, which we use to produce reports, blogs and webinars to inform recruiters like yourselves about best practices for attracting and retaining talent in the sector. And I'm also joined with Adrian.
Thank you very much, Lucy. So yes, my name is Adrian. I am the Recruiter Success Executive over here at CharityJob. My job here is to help with all the tools and services we have at CharityJob as part of the service. So whether that be things like your adverts and making sure they perform as best as we can, utilizing tools such as our recruiter profile or our applicant tracker system that goes along with Quick Apply, and namely today, our equal opportunities form.
So I'm just going to go through a few little bits of housekeeping before we kick off. So firstly, you should be able to see my slides at the moment. If these go out of sync at any point, a sync to presenter button should appear. So please press that to sync them back to us. Secondly, we will be taking questions at the end of the webinar, so please add any questions that you may have to the Q&A on Teams. So if you're joining on the Teams app, this should be on the banner at the top of your screen. And if you're joining on your mobile, this should be on the bottom right-hand corner. So just to note, the webinar is being recorded, so please only share your questions if you're happy for them to be on the recording. And finally, we'll share the recording as well as some useful resources after the webinar to everyone who attended. So here's a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to start off talking a little bit about the importance of diversity. Then we'll move on to discuss how tracking and collecting data can help you build fairer outcomes. Then Adrian will do a demo of our new Equal Opportunities reporting tool, and he'll talk you through how to use it to monitor the diversity of applicants in the pipeline. And we'll wrap up by discussing some of the most impactful and research-backed changes that you can make to your hiring process to increase diversity. So we'll be focusing on 3 key stages in your hiring process. So writing your job description, posting your job, and assessing candidates. And we'll finish off with our Q&A. So we should have around 5 minutes or so for questions at the end. And I'll hand over to Adrian.
All right, thank you very much, Lucy. So yes, we're going to be talking a lot today about the Equal Opportunities Form and how utilizing it can be beneficial for yourselves as charities. But we're also going to be talking about the importance of diversity itself. Now, diversity, it's not just about fairness. It's about maximizing your charity's impact you can have upon the things you really truly care about. Now, there's a huge business case for building a diverse workforce. On this slide here are just some of the many benefits of having a diverse team or organization that are backed by substantial amounts of research. Benefits such as enhanced problem solving, increased team morale and company culture, better brand representation, and greater creativity and innovation. For example, research done by McKinsey in 2020 found that in the corporate sector, companies with better gender and ethnic diversity on executive teams vastly outperformed peer companies with less diversity in terms of their profitability. Now, looking at this in a charity context, being a diverse workforce can help to understand your beneficiaries. Diverse teams with varied lived experiences can better empathize with and tailor work and programs to the specific needs of your beneficiaries. Fundraising and outreach can also be benefited by having diverse teams that can help you to connect with a wider range of donors and supporters, leading to increased fundraising and success. In terms of innovation and effectiveness, having diverse perspectives can help to lead to more innovative solutions and better effective work within your organizations also.
Thank you very much, Adrian. So we're now just going to do 2 quick polls to understand a little bit more about who we have on the call with us today. So these polls are anonymous, so no one else will be able to see what you answered. So I'm just going to launch the first poll now. So this question is, does your charity or organisation currently collect diversity or equal opportunities data in the recruitment process? So if you could just answer that with a yes or no if you're happy to, and then I'll just give you all a couple of seconds to do that. So I'll just give it a few more seconds to let some of you respond. Awesome. Okay, so we're seeing that around 83% of you are currently collecting this data in your recruitment process. And there's some of you who aren't. So around 70% of you are 17, sorry, aren't currently. So in a moment, I'm going to launch a second poll, and this is for you to answer if you answered yes to that question. Now, this poll is just going to pull a couple of words into a sort of word cloud. So I'd just like you to answer it, with a 1 or 2 word answer to kind of get the gist across. And this question is that if you do collect that equal opportunities or diversity data, what do you currently use that data for? So you might say here, you know, nothing yet, or for tracking or benchmarking or whatever it might be. So I'll just give you all a minute to answer that. Awesome. I'll just give it another 30 seconds or so. Great. So I can see we've already got quite a few responses, which is really helpful. So I can see a lot of you are saying that you're using it for tracking. I can see some of you saying, yeah, tracking and monitoring, record keeping. A couple of you said not much. Diversity in the organisation as well. And colleague overview. So yeah, this is just really interesting to get a bit of the flavour of how some of you are using it. And I think we can see that tracking is the main thing. And for those of you who said that you're not so sure, hopefully the rest of this webinar can help you think about that a bit more as well. So I'm just going to close that poll now. Cool. So data is key to understanding where your charity currently stands with diversity and inclusivity in the hiring process. So collecting equal opportunities data isn't about positive discrimination. In fact, actually, with our tool, candidate demographic data is completely anonymous. Rather, by understanding the profile of your applicants and your hires, you can identify strengths and weaknesses in your recruitment process, and you can use this information to set clear diversity goals and take targeted action. So your goals, for example, they might look a bit like, let's say you may want to increase the representation of underrepresented groups in the applicant pool if you learn that you're perhaps not attracting a fully diverse mix of candidates. Or on the other hand, it could be to improve the hiring rates of underrepresented groups if you're learning that this is where you have more of an issue. So by taking this sort of data-driven approach, it can help you to uncover potential biases, any bottlenecks in the hiring process, or any areas where diverse or underrepresented candidates may be dropping off. So now I'm going to hand over to Adrian, who's going to talk to you about how you can monitor diversity at CharityJob through our new Equal Opportunities reporting tool.
Thank you very much, Lucy. So I'm just going to share my screen with you shortly. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through both perspectives of utilising this form. So first, how it's viewed as a candidate, and then how you'll be able to see it as a recruiter. So when looking at the Equal Opportunities form as a candidate, if you have previously signed up with us before we integrated this system here, you'll be able to go onto your candidate profile and be able to fill out these questions. Now, Once you have completed this as a candidate, this is then saved to your account and will be applied any time that you apply in the future to any ads that has Quick Apply active with the Equal Opportunities form on there. Now, if the candidate then makes an account perhaps after we've already implemented the system, they will be asked to fill this out as part of creating their account. So when we go onto our account here, we would simply scroll down past all of our details, and here we see our demographics questions. Now, across these questions here, we've covered a variety of subjects. So a candidate's gender identity, their age, do they consider themselves to be disabled under the Equality Act of 2010, their ethnic group, their sexual orientation, their religion, and if they are from a lower socioeconomic background. Now, as I mentioned, we have taken all of these questions, and once they are answered, they are then saved to their accounts for any future use. Now, to look at this from a recruiter perspective, what we'll do here is we'll open up a recruiter account. Now, to have access to the reports, you will need to have had 3 jobs that have been live, all utilizing Quick Apply and our applicant tracker system, and you will need to have a candidate in the hired section of each role there. So I'm just going to go into these to show you what this looks like. Now, our applicant tracker system is a really great set of tools that come completely free of charge when utilizing the Quick Apply function. And what this does is it helps you to navigate through your pipeline and be able to see your candidates as they go through your process. Now here, as you can see, we've got a couple of candidates that have gone through, and we have finally hired this person, Tina Jones, in the hired section here. If we then go back and go to our other 2 jobs, we can see we also have candidates in the hired section here, and this is what will give us access to our report. To have a look at our report, all we need to do is go to More and the Equal Opportunities report. Now, clicking on here, we can see a breakdown from all of our jobs we have posted across all of our applicants, and we can see our ranges here for the answers to all of the questions. Now, for all of our applicants that we have received, these will be in this paler blue here, and the hires that we have made will be in the darker blue. Now, using these graphs here, we can clearly see the breakdown of differences between those who have applied and those we have hired. So, for example, looking into gender identity, we can see that a majority of our applicants have been female, but the majority of our hires have been male. So this is perhaps something we could look into. When looking to age, we can see there have been a vast majority of our applicants and hires have been in the younger demographics. So we could potentially see what we can do. And Lucy's going to take us through a few steps that can help us in terms of diversifying our hires. We can also see the breakdowns here for both disability, ethnic groups, sexual orientation, religion, and socioeconomic backgrounds as well. Now, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a second so we can go back to the presentation.
Awesome, thank you, Adrian. I'm just going to quickly get the slides back to where we left off, and I'll hand back to you.
All right, so as we've kind of gone through the system there, we can see that it is very quick and easy for our candidates. As soon as they've set it up the one time, it is then done for them. They never have to think about it again. It's going to save you time from having to collect this information yourself. This is all fully automated when using the Quick Apply and the applicant tracker system through CharityJob. Utilizing this data, it can help to understand your pipeline. You'll be able to see clear differences and compare your diversity of applicants versus your hires. And you'll then be able to utilize this information to help identify areas of improvement for your charities.
Thank you very much, Adrian. So now we're going to touch on a few of the changes that you can make to your hiring process to increase diversity. So we're going to focus on 3 key stages in the recruitment process. So firstly, writing your job description, then posting your job, and finally assessing candidates. So there's a lot we could talk about here. So we're actually just going to focus on 6 of the most impactful changes that you can make. And these are changes which are supported by substantial research. And you can apply these across those various stages of the recruitment process. And just to note, we will be sharing some resources after this webinar to offer more detail if you want to learn more about any of these things. And we'll also be sharing more general guidance into this area in future. So firstly, let's start with writing your job descriptions. So I'm going to talk through 2 evidence-backed tips to watch out for when you're writing them, and these will help you to promote equal opportunities. So these tips are particularly useful if you learn that the diversity of your candidate pool is a weakness. So let's say you see that you're not attracting candidates from a number of different demographics, and you want to try and widen that pool to increase the number of candidates you're attracting, but also those who may come from those underrepresented backgrounds. So firstly, when writing your job descriptions, it's really important to use inclusive language that attracts a diverse pool of candidates. So you should be mindful of using non-inclusive language, which can deter potential candidates from applying for a role. So there are 3 types of non-inclusive language I'm going to talk about, and these are gender-coded, age-biased, and non-literal. So firstly, gender-coded language. This refers to words or phrases that are associated with a specific gender. So for example, terms like dominant, strong, assertive, and champion, these are often considered to be male-coded, whereas words like supportive and collaborative and nurturing, these are more commonly associated to be female coded. And what the research shows is that job descriptions which use a lot of male coded language deter women from applying. So they may perceive the role as being more suited to men, they may find it less appealing or feel that they wouldn't fit in. And consequently, the research suggests that they're approximately 50% less likely to apply. However, the reverse isn't true. So job descriptions which have more female coded language in them don't actually deter men from applying. So therefore, it's really important to watch out for male coded language in particular, and ideally you should aim for sort of a neutrally gendered job description. And to help you do this, you can use 3 gender decoder tools online, and with these you just copy and paste your job description into them, and it will tell you whether your ad is more male coded or female coded or neutral, and it will highlight any words that you may want to consider swapping out. So we'll share a link to this tool after the webinar. Secondly, age-biased language is another type of language to be mindful of. And this refers to words or phrases which are associated with younger people or may be discriminatory towards older workers. So examples of this kind of type of language include words and phrases like being a recent grad, energetic, digital native, or adaptable, for example. And some research done by the Centre for Ageing Better found that older candidates find this language off-putting, and they feel that they'd be less likely to get an interview or a job offer when this language is used. And finally, you should also be mindful of non-literal or figurative language. So this refers to when you use words in a way that means something different to their usual meaning. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because this type of language can be quite difficult for some neurodivergent individuals to understand. So some examples of the phrases that we sometimes see in job descriptions that you should look out for are things like lots of room for growth, thinking outside the box, learning the ropes, being a team player, a go-getter, and so on. Now, secondly, when you're writing your job descriptions, instead of focusing on traditional qualifications and experience, it's much better to focus the job requirements around the essential skills needed to do the job. So this means prioritizing skills like, let's say, problem solving, data literacy, empathy, whatever it might be, over things like having a degree or having, say, 3 years of experience in a particular industry. So this expands your talent pool by opening up opportunities to those from diverse backgrounds or careers who might have excellent transferable skills. And it also creates fairer opportunities by removing unnecessary requirements like a degree. And actually, what's more is that systematic reviews of more than 100 years of research have shown that someone's years of experience and education are actually pretty poor predictors of future job performance. And what's more effective is to assess someone's actual skills. So let's just quickly look at an example. So I'd like you to imagine that you're recruiting for a marketing and communications assistant. So instead of asking for, let's say, at least a year of experience working on marketing campaigns and degree level education in a relevant discipline, it would be much more effective to consider the skills needed for the role. So as an example, this could be the ability to write creatively for a range of channels and to adapt the writing style according to the audience. So by shifting the focus to these essential skills, you'll attract a wider range of qualified candidates and you'll increase your chances of finding a good fit for your team. And now I'm going to hand over to Adrian.
All right, thank you very much, Lucy. So now that we've thought about the language of our job description, we'll want to get posting the job. So here we're going to share two key evidence-based strategies that can help you to promote equal opportunities when you do post your role. And these are especially important for you to increase the diversity of your hires. So if you're a charity who's often seeing from the equal opportunities reporting that you are getting a diverse range of candidates applying, but you always end up hiring people from similar backgrounds, it's likely that there may be some unconscious bias in your hiring process. So using these tactics can help to mitigate that. Now, firstly, I want to talk about anonymous recruitment. A candidate's name can have significant influence in their chances of progressing in the hiring process. Studies have shown that applicants with ethnic minority names receive significantly fewer positive responses, things like interview invitations, compared to those with Anglican sounding names, even with identical CVs. For example, in a 2023 study, researchers submitted over 12,000 job applications to more than 4,000 jobs to investigate hiring discrimination. Now, they manipulated the names of these candidates, but they used identical CVs and found that applicants with non-anglicized names received 57% fewer positive responses. So, as I said, things like invites to interview or something similar, than those with Anglican names for leadership roles, and 45% fewer for non-leadership roles. So, to help level the playing field, consider using anonymous recruitment. When candidates apply, their names are hidden. And this helps to prevent any unconscious bias from affecting the initial stages of the hiring process. With CharityJob Recruiter, we offer anonymous recruitment as part of our Quick Apply feature. This means that you can automatically anonymize names and replace them with pseudonyms, ensuring a fair evaluation of candidates based solely upon their qualifications and skills. Now, secondly, you should also use some skill-based screening questions for candidates to submit along with their CVs. Now, with the Quick Apply, you also get free access to our screening questions features. Now, you can use the screening questions in place of application forms, which we have found through a lot of research we have done over the years that is the candidate's biggest bugbear. And we understand it is asking for a lot of important information when it comes to their application. But utilizing these screening questions, we can find out some of the key skills that our candidates have that we are looking for. Now, these questions can help to assess candidates' abilities directly, reducing the impact of potential biases in CVs. By evaluating candidates based upon their demonstrated skills, you increase the likelihood of selecting the most qualified candidates, regardless of their backgrounds, helping you to build a more diverse and qualified workforce. Now, by adopting these two strategies, you can help to significantly enhance fairness and inclusivity in your hiring process. Now, let's say finally our job is posted and it's been up for a little while and we're in the assessment stage. Now, if you want to assess your candidates as fairly as possible, here's a few impactful things that you can do. Again, these should help to reduce bias in your assessments and increase the likelihood of hiring diverse candidates. Now, first, you should use a scoring criteria and related marking frameworks. Now, with these, it's really important to agree on what you're assessing candidates against. And as we mentioned, these should be based upon the core skills needed for the job, not things like whether they have a degree or not, and how you're going to mark those candidates against the assessment criteria. When designing a marking framework, we recommend keeping it simple and using an easy to use, potentially 1 to 5 scale like we have with Quick Apply and our applicant tracker system. Now, using a 1 to 5 scale, for example, we will be able to look at it as 1 being a poor demonstration of the skill and 5 being exceptional, may work potentially well for you. It would also be really sensible to create some examples of what 1, 3, and 5 ratings would look like with this practice, so that everyone on your hiring team is on the same page. This helps us to understand expectations and maintain consistency. By using scoring criteria and marking frameworks, you'll focus on the most relevant factors and reduce the influence of personal biases. Now, finally, we recommend that you include individuals from diverse backgrounds on your hiring panels. This will help to level out your own subjectivity or any unconscious biases and should help you from falling into the trap of hiring people who are similar to you and, quote, fit the group. There are some studies that have been done, like one conducted by the tech company Cisco in the US, have shown that diverse hiring panels can significantly improve the odds of success for underrepresented candidates. For example, Cisco found that when they used diverse panels, they improved the odds of making it through the interview process by 50% for Hispanic women and 70% for African American women. So utilizing these different methods can really help to bring in a diverse workforce for yourselves.
Thank you very much, Adrian. So that's just a bit of the brief overview of some of the things you can do to build fairer outcomes in your hiring process. It's not an exhaustive list, and as I said, we will be sharing more resources after the webinar, and we'll be talking more about this in future. But now we'd like to open up the Q&A. So if you haven't already, please can you leave your questions in the Q&A on Teams, and we'll hand over to Claire, who's going to read out some of the questions.
Morning, everyone, and thank you, Lucy and Adrian. That's a really good demonstration of the product and why we should be using it. So thank you very much for that. We've had a few questions. Someone has asked, do we get to see individual responses of equal opportunity forms in order to take positive action? I don't know which one of you wants to take that.
I could take over that one. Quite simply, the form itself is used for all of our applicants and hires at the same time. We won't be able to see individual responses as all of this is done completely anonymously. Again, this is to help with GDPR and also for any unconscious biases there. We want it to be completely open for our candidates so they know that all the information is going to be stored completely anonymously.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Adrian. And someone's also asked, for small charities with only 2 or 3 members of staff, can you see if only one role is being advertised?
So for the equal opportunities form, it is done based upon a minimum of 3 roles that you have. Again, this is to help with any kind of anonymity with the process there. If it was just the one role, it could then obviously be used to sort of identify features, and we didn't want that. We want to be able to have it as anonymous as possible.
Great, thank you. Someone's also asked, do we report on socioeconomic background?
I can take this one. So yes, we do. One of the questions in the demographic form that candidates complete asks them if they identify as coming from a lower socioeconomic background. So yes, we have that breakdown as part of it.
Great, thank you. And actually linked to that, someone's also asked how we decided on what questions to ask in the Equal Opportunities survey for candidates.
Sure, I can talk a little bit about that. So yeah, when kind of developing the form and deciding on what to include, we went through quite a long process. So we reviewed a lot of different equal opportunity forms from other applicant tracking systems, for example, also from our own users who use equal opportunity forms and post jobs with us. And we also looked at those by kind of large charities and large companies who are leading the way with EDI. And then obviously we also reviewed guidance such as government guidance and other things like sort of public data collection on demographics as well. So we wanted to include the most common categories and kind of types of questions. We do obviously understand though that collecting demographic data is really complex. And unfortunately, there's like no perfect equal opportunities form or kind of no like one size fits all. So yeah, we understand that every charity's needs are unique, and we do welcome feedback on the form and the tool from candidates and recruiters, and we'll continue to review that as we move forward.
Lovely, thanks Lucy. Just conscious of time, and so I'll just ask a couple more questions, and any that we don't get round to we will respond to directly after the webinar. Someone has asked, can we split the data to show diversity of people who've applied, been shortlisted and hired? So don't know. I mean, I can answer that one. So at the moment, we show the data for those who've applied and been hired. We don't currently separate out shortlisted, but that's something that we can go back to our product team and advise them that people might be wanting. So thank you for that question. Someone has asked, can we use the equal opportunities reporting for volunteers?
Yes, you can use the equal opportunities form for volunteers. Yeah.
Great. And also someone has asked for an example report. So maybe we put that in the list of resources that's going to go out afterwards as well. And with that, I'll finish up on the questions, but we will answer those directly for those that we haven't got round to. But over to you again, Adrian and Lucy.
Awesome. Thank you very much then. So yeah, we're going to wrap up there, as Claire said, but thank you all for attending. It was really great to have so many of you joining us. So please keep an eye out later for an email which will contain a recording of this webinar, as well as some of those additional resources which we've mentioned. And do keep your eyes out for more webinars, which we'll be doing in future months as well. But yeah, thank you so much, and we hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.